What's up? What's up? It is Monday. You know what that means? It's Memorial Day, and James doesn't know when Memorial Day is. But me and Ryan are here. Welcome to Wrestling with Tism. You don't have to be neurodivergent to watch this show, but it might help. Ryan, how are things on this very fine Monday?
They're good. I'm looking forward to going out to my grill later, but they're good.
Ooh. What are you going to be grilling?
That is to be determined. Probably some hamburgers.
Okay.
At this point.
Do you make your own, or do you buy?
We have some frozen patties right now. I don't like them particularly, but it is what it is.
Fair enough. Take what is Memorial Day for 500.
Hold on, let's see. I hear banging on my door. Probably a cat.
Your cats knock on your door?
Yes, they do actually.
Fair enough.
Especially when they haven't been fed, but I don't know what his problem is. He was fed a little bit over 30 minutes ago. Sometimes he forgets. Cats love, chicken pate.
Cats love food, full stop. Full stop.
So it was a pretty eventful pay-per-view last night.
There was wrestling last night?
There was a lot of wrestling. You wouldn't know it because you wasn't berated with 45 minutes worth of ads between matches. But
right, yeah. How do the shareholders feel today?
Think about the shareholders.
Think of the shareholders.
I don't know why people get so upset about that. I make a little joke. Some people seem to get upset about it, but shareholder, we're fans. We shouldn't care what the shareholders have to say.
We don't care what the shareholders have to say.
I don't. You don't. But, members of our staunch community here think otherwise.
Yeah. It's about the ratings. It's about the quarterly reviews. Too late. We're already doing it. Yeah, it's a very weird metric that people use. But what was really interesting, I think, about the discourse from this pay-per-view was just how universally praised it was. Even from corners of the internet I'll say corners of the internet, but from personalities who normally wouldn't feel a certain way about an AEW show or pay-per-view in general. I'm not going to mention his name, but the kind of like truncated guy from the New York area.
Yeah.
The Napoleon complex. He was very positive about the show. And he's someone who, and I know historically, when I first came across the guy, he was already out of the AEW inner circle, right? He'd not been allowed access to Wembley, and so he kind of switched his position. But he's a very critical guy. He used to be quite positive, from what I understand, but he's been very critical for a number of years, and he was saying best pay-per-view of the year by a distance. And of course, there's always going to be people that don't like it, right? Always. But generally speaking, people were very positive about it. So I was surprised, only because I can watch an AEW pay-per-view and think it was good, and I will still find loads of people to trash it. But generally speaking, like, it got a lot of praise. And it also, and I don't know, I've looked into a few of these people, and the ones I've looked into do seem legit, but I saw an awful lot of, this is my first AEW pay-per-view, or I haven't watched AEW for a number of years, and they've got me back in. It seems like a very positive shift of momentum for AEW out of this weekend.
Oh yeah. I think it might have been Ibu. I think it was Ibu, who said, if you can win New York, you'll eventually win the nation.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain how true that is, but that was a sold out, a true sellout of a 14,000 seat arena, right? No tickets left, right? And quite frankly, everyone was at the edge of their seats the entire night, or standing. Like, the energy of the night itself. Now, there were, counting the pre-show, right? Well, let's not count the pre-show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches. 2 matches deep, I felt I had my $40 worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say $40 HBO Max subscriber. Sue me. Adam Copeland defeating Adam Copeland and Edge. Adam Copeland, Edge / Cope and Christian, right? Defeating FTR for the tag team titles in a 20-minute match. This is probably the weakest match of the night, in my opinion. Realistically speaking, even then, it has some emotion, has some intensity to it. It has a surprise return. Beth Phoenix, who looks in great shape for her at this stage of her life. There's a couple matches I would like to get out of her, but whenever if Beth decides to, come to AEW, that's her choice and her prerogative. But seeing Stoke go through the table, that was pretty cool. A lot of great moments in this match, either way. And when I say it's the weakest match, it's not because the match is bad. Hold on. Oh no. Rest in peace, blue check mark.
Who? Me?
Apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, but pour out taps, I guess. I don't know. Wherever we are in the universe. But this was a good match. I'm not a fan. All right. I'm not a fan of FTR losing the tag titles, but this has been the story that they've been telling for a long time. Cope and Christian becoming the tag team champions. There's some good matches There's some dream matches that you can get out of this. Cope and Christian versus the Young Bucks is inevitably going to happen at some point for those tag team titles, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be opposed to seeing FTR and Young Bucks again at some point in the future. Either, they tear it down every time. Very few teams have more natural chemistry. But Cope and Christian becoming the tag team champions is a good feel moment for this crowd. something that they could cheer for, something that they can walk away. It's the first tag team titles that they have held together in 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, and this is what I'll say about Cope and Christian, is probably the most WWE coded matches you'll see in AEW. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, I think it kind of stands out quite a bit. There was obviously enough smoke and mirrors in this to, I would say, elevate it above their previous encounter. But in regards to what you were saying about, you know, the titles being changed, I thought that it was time. I think FTR have had those belts since, when was it? It wasn't. Was it September? Did they
They've
win
had
them
them
at
a
a
lot.
while?
They've had them for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
In
Okay.
fact,
So I was right. Yeah. So they've had them. They've had them a long time, and there's been no movement. The division has been kind of stagnant. So I don't
they
mind
won
that
the
they
titles at Full Gear.
Full Gear. Okay, so that was November, wasn't it? Full Gear. So yeah, that's a good 7, 8 months. Coming on to 8 months. So yeah, time to move them off. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a good way to kick off the show. Nowhere near the best match of the night. And I have seen some weird. I saw someone go with like 4.5 stars. Nuts. I wouldn't have given it that much, but it was. I mean, it was good. It was entertaining. I like the finish especially. Some good spots in there. Some good chants in there as well. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good way to kick off the show. But I do see that we have someone in the green room. Does that she can just raise a hand? Would you like to talk about this match? Oh, okay, bring her in.
I'm here. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask if you wanted to like come up now or later on. But you know, producer man just was like he's talking about Tay. Yeah, yeah. So Tay,
I pulled
what
the
did you?
James and made an executive decision.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So Tay, what did you think of the opening match of the pay-per-view?
I enjoyed it. I mean, comparing it to like the last time that the tag titles opened the pay-per-view, I like that one more, but I feel like I'm biased because, you know, that was the Young Bucks. So not that like there's anything against like Hope and Christian because I grew up watching them, but it was like a feel-good moment. I texted my mom. She went to pick my sister up from work, and I was like, "Oh, hey, look, your guy has a belt now." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, him and Christian just won the tag titles." So I enjoyed it. It had a lot of it kept me sports entertained, considering it was AEW. So
Yeah, but would you agree? Because I said that I feel that Cope and Christian matches in general are very WWE coded. Would you agree?
mm-hmm.
And again, not saying it's a bad thing. It's just
No.
it is just what they are.
Well, AEW offers a buffet of all wrestling styles, and that is including the WWE style. And you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. I don't know if you have things. Do you have Golden Corral in the UK? Do you have
No,
Golden Corral?
We don't.
All right.
We have things like a Golden Corral. So.
All right. But you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Right? So they offer all kinds of foods across numerous spectrums of style of food, albeit maybe not different cultures of food, to be fair, right? AEW offers so many different cultures of professional wrestling under one banner. And people will be like, there are some grifters on the internet who hate WWE style matches with a passion. And I'm like, why? All right. You know, WWE, while maybe not my taste anymore, right, isn't a bad style. It's just stale to me, right? WWE itself. You can take positive things from that and move them into another environment and refresh them, right? And Hope Christian, very much two WWE coded wrestlers. FTR, I repeat this, FTR, two very WWE coded wrestlers. You know, that's where they trained. That's where they came together as a tag team. This is where they spent the bulk of their mid and the middle of their career, because they both been wrestling for a long time in and of itself, their own capacities. But this is where they came together, where they honed their craft, and they became kind of a modern rendition of the Brainbusters. But you can have a WWE style match and it still be entertaining, still be good, and still be, relatively speaking, AEW.
It's not a bad thing.
A nice,
entertained.
No.
I think the only thing I didn't like about this match, they were concertoing Christian's. You know, I have a.
Oh yeah, his.
I have a wrist. I have a wrist issue. I have a wrist issue, everybody. And they were smacking a cinder block with the chair, hitting the cinder block. You're not doing any damage to the wrist. What is this doing?
I said the same thing. You know, his hand was in a gap in the cinder block, and they're hitting the cinder block, and I'm like, but it's not
doing anything.
It's not doing anything. You know, well, you know what? He might feel the vibrations a little bit. He might feel the vibrations, but that's about as much as you're going to feel. Like, let's not get it twisted. But
I want to talk about vibrations. You know, there's a lot of vibrations through this night, and I myself was satisfied.
Well, speaking of which, this was a match which, I mean, there was a lot of hype going into the event. But Tay, I want to ask you first, because I know someone else is going to come up and talk about this in a minute as well, I'm sure. But Takeshita Okada.
That match was so
I mean,
phenomenal.
I was expecting it to be good, but man, I mean, that was something, right?
So I saw their first match that they had together at World's End, in the semis of the Continental Classic, and I thought that match was fantastic. So I was looking to see how, you know, they were gonna try to one up that one, and I feel like they did. Like, it's just, I could watch them wrestle forever. Like, they just work very well together. So
the literal definition of fight forever for me. They really do. And I was saying in the Discord last night that the thing is, like, Okada, there was a lot of chatter when Okada came in, you know, considered to be the best wrestler of his generation, especially from Japan, and, you know, what he was going to do, whether he ended up, whether that was WWE or AEW. And a lot of disappointment in what he was doing in AEW. Felt like he was very much in cruise control for a lot of the time he's been there. But when he has to show up, he shows up. And then some.
yeah, I think you and I were talking about that in the Discord last night. I said when Okada gets in a match where he has to lock in, he's gonna lock in. And I said that, like, with the Kenny match at All In last year, like, that was another one. I don't think it was as strong as the other matches that those two have had, but it still was pretty good for what we got out of the two of them, considering. So
there were people in a few circles who try to say that Okada has lost a step. Okada doesn't have to lock in every night. Okada is a special attraction wrestler. And when Okada is prepping to lock in, usually wrestles a series of matches prior to that allow him to shake off some ring rust just a little bit. Okay? Ace Austin was very recent for that. But Okada may very well be the best wrestler on the planet. You know, it's Tanahashi's last match. This match made me feel a lot of things. There's a lot of nostalgia, I guess, for some people with the Tanahashi match. You know, their history. This Takeshita match. Knowing the build that they've had leading into this match. And a lot of people will go like, there's no storytelling here. It like, it's all passive things. When Takeshita won the IWGP Championship, okay, the jealousy permeating from Okada, you could feel it anytime. And this has been something that's been built for months and months and months. And it's not even the biggest story from this. Just the match itself was amazing. I do appreciate how Don Callis tried to save Takeshita. There was a point in time where Okada was going to do a pile driver on the floor, and Don Callis had stopped Okada. You know, like, what are you doing? He's our friend. What are you doing? Right? And Takeshita assumes control of the situation and hits his brainbuster on the floor. That pisses off Don Callis. That was the last straw for Don Callis, or I guess the last straw would be the ultimate finale of this match, right? This match is perfect. I got my $40 out of this one match. I could have turned the show off here and been happy with the investment, right? But there is a bigger story to come out of this. After
I get Tame's like,
I'm gonna talk about it so bad.
Tay, I'll let you tell the story. Or I guess
We had
I don't know.
return of the proto star, Kyle Fletcher. I knew when I saw and heard that he was backstage at the Peoria show. Everyone's like, oh, he's only there because Sky's wrestling and blah, 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 blah. And he's not ready yet. And I'm like, when wrestlers start traveling again, they're trying to get cleared by the doctors. Like, this wasn't a show that was like 15 minutes away from their house. This was a show that was about 2.5, 3 hours away. I'm like, and if he's got a bad enough whatever injury to his leg, whatever happened, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a car for 2.5, 3 hours, especially with how tall this man is. But he came back last night, and I'm so sorry to everybody who's in the Discord because I just lost it. His music, and I was like, no way. But yeah, we did see, a slight reunion of Protoshita before eventually, a couple minutes later, he did turn on Takeshita, which was a smidge bit heartbreaking, but he's a little brainwashed. It's okay.
I think the heartbreaking thing about this is they were both on their way out. They both had issues with this, and somehow Kyle Fletcher succumbed to the darkness that is Don Callis once more. And Don Callis sunk his claws into Fletcher, and they appear to be deeper than they've ever been before. Because Fletcher and Takeshita were really good friends. Damn near lovers.
They were work husbands.
Very much work husbands. And
I can't believe they split my babies up.
I feel like a child of divorce.
I don't know if you saw the comment I just flashed on screen, but I said I was talking about Kyle Fletcher the way that Nasty Leroy talks about MJF because of that. I couldn't believe it.
Meanwhile, you have me that's just like, yes, Kyle's back. I'm like,
Don Callis, that bald fucking toxic son of a bitch. got his hooks into Kyle Fletcher, and I don't think I could ever forgive him. I'm hurt.
The funniest
emotional,
thing to come
physically.
from that last night was getting the notification that Sky Blue retweeted the thing that said Proto Sheeta is no more, and I'm like, she was waiting on that downfall. She was like, I'm one step closer to getting my man back to my.
My favorite bit.
I don't
was
know
when,
who tweeted out this, but I saw someone put together. I think it was from that Wrestle Dream match, a picture of Ospreay and Takeshita together, and said, # now go sleep with his ex.
Oh no.
Just be thankful though that this moment wasn't ruined by some inadvertent ad placement of dude wipes on somebody's gear.
Now, Kyle Fletcher
We can
would have
already
walked out
hope.
with the Dude Wipes logo on his suit. I think I would have just shut the show off. I would have been like, I'm good. That's enough for me.
I think my favorite part though of when that went down in the Discord was because we were all slightly in different stages
Oh yeah,
of the pay-per-view, because there's slight delays depending on how you watched it. Was
Wait, Hannibal, but hold on.
Grumpy's
Brian, it could be worse than Dude Waves. Could have been Wardlow.
It could have been Wardlow, but
Did
if
not
it was
know
Wardlow, if it was Wardlow, we would be talking about something more unfortunate, more than likely.
That could be a slogan, I guess. For Dude
Oh
Wipes.
god, right. That took me a second.
But when it looked like Carl Fletcher had gone in there to save Takeshita, it was hearing the joy and the expression of Grumpy, and then I'm watching what happens, and I'm like, oh, and I'm just waiting for the penny to drop. I'm waiting for the penny to drop, and then it drops. And I mean, to be fair, like, even when he went in there to save him, I thought he's going to turn. I know he's going to turn.
Yeah.
But
You said Ospreay. Sorry, you said Fletcher is the fifth man
I did
multiple times as a joke, and little did we know
You were
That
correct.
it came
Fletcher
flashing
was
down and it
indeed.
hurt inside.
the fifth man.
Indeed, Fletcher was the fifth man.
He's Australian made.
I forgot I said that. Yeah.
The look, when he's staring into the air, eyes closed, just listening, or even smelling the reaction, I guess. There are some fans that are questionable. It's just a moment, right? But, I don't know how much more we can give this.
Oh, you can,
Oh,
because there's
I have to-
someone in the green room. I'm gonna do a little swap. Don't worry, it's none of you guys. I'm about to swap myself out for let's be real, one of the audience's favorite members of the collective, the advocate of Enochiism.
Takeshita did it. Fuck Kyle Fletcher. We're going to do so much better than him. We don't even worry about that trash. We go into Japan next. We taking back what's ours. We put in the IWGP World. Sorry, I lost my voice, guys. That's why I sound all crazy. We put in the IWGP World title back on a real man. None more of these kids. No more of these Carmen Sandiego perverts. We are going to live our destiny. Konosuke Takeshita, the greatest wrestler alive today, with maybe Bandito. Or
Yeah,
one
now-
A, 1B.
What if Bandito and Takeshita just made a tag team, though? That would just be the best tag team of all time.
Yeah, but I want to see him wrestle more. I was like, if they have a tag team and then break up, then I'm down for it. What would you call them?
You know what I just realized we
Tuxedo?
haven't talked about?
What?
This match was so good when you realize, that build was like active sabotage towards both Okada and Takeshita. And
I
the
mean,
second
maybe,
the bell
I
rang,
say this
no
all
one
the
cared.
time. I think Tony Khan is a lot smarter and he knows more than people give him credit for. Because everybody online was like, oh, this Bandito, Takeshita feud, blah, blah, blah. It's been going on forever. I don't even care anymore. But that crowd was hotter for that match than anything else on the show. Oh, yeah, Okada, Takeshita. Sorry, I was still thinking about that Bandito Takeshita rematch that we need to have.
So, Advocate, can I ask if you lost your voice because Takeshita won last night? Or is this a separate...
It didn't help. It didn't help. I was already on its way out, but that show last night fucked me. And I wasn't even there live. I was just in my house.
Yeah. How did your friends... Because you had a couple of friends come over, right?
Yeah, so my friend Ty and Khalik, they are primarily WWE watchers. They don't really watch AEW. My friend Ty, this motherfucker, I didn't know if he was trying to bait me or something. This motherfucker came to my home, the place where I raised my child, in a motherfucking Jey Uso shirt with yeets all on the back of it. And I was like, in front of my son?
Did you make him go outside, stay outside?
No. I kept my cool.
Burn it by the end of the show.
No, I kept my cool. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger man here. I was like, he's about to see some of the greatest matches he ever seen before. He ain't never going to wear this Jey Uso shirt again. He going to burn it himself. He going to be like Cody burning his tie and shit. Y'all remember that?
I don't remember
Guy's
him
a fucking
burning his
dork.
tie, but I do remember him leaving his boots in the ring after the Malachi Black match.
One of them. Malachi Black snatched that shit up. He was probably sniffing in it too, creeper.
How did they like the show, though?
They loved it. They were blown away. The match that they loved the most was the Stadium Stampede. I think that one. They loved Swerve Bandito, obviously, too. Like, most of the matches, they got there a little late, so they didn't get to see the whole Cope and Christian versus FTR match. But yeah, no, they were they would not stop talking about that Stadium Stampede. And I'm like, bro, that ain't even the best one. I was like, that was good, but
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot, but I mean, yeah, I would say it was the best one.
But yeah, man, I was just so happy. I had to go. I saw y'all in the Discord. I had to go in the Discord and scream, and that really fucked my voice too. But I don't care. I don't care if I sound like goddamn Joan Rivers or whatever. Takeshita is our champion.
I'd say you sound more like Big Ange.
I don't know Big Ange.
You don't know Big Ange?
What is that a reference to? No, who's Big Ange?
Big Ange was like this woman. She had like a reality TV show, everything. And she was known for just like, it was like, I want everything big. And she just had a shitload of like Botox. And she had like this low, raspy voice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I guess I sound like Big Ange then, because I got a raspy as fuck voice right now. But it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter because Takeshita is our international champion. He's going to New Japan. He's taking back what's ours, the IWGP World Championship. No more of these bums. Callum Newman or whatever his name is. Like, who even is that guy? He's like 12. You need a real man to be the IWGP champion. Y'all agree with that, right? That's not an out-of-pocket take.
No.
Oh, wait, maybe Hannibal doesn't because he's like, oh, Callum Newman, he's from my country, so I gotta rep him. He was
No, it's like no. I mean, Ospreay, I do feel protective over, but only because I have personal experience.
Well, yeah, Ospreay rules. Yeah,
everyone else, I like, but I'm not going to just support them because they're British. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
That's a ludicrous thing to do.
That would be like me supporting everybody from Chicago Advocate, and we all know who I don't like from here.
Whatever. You the number one punk shooter. I know you got one of your burners. I remember. Do y'all remember during
Taylor
the build to All Out after
Punk?
Do y'all remember the build to All Out when Punk left? And how everybody was like, why is AEW still using Punk's star symbol? Like they didn't realize it was the Chicago flag.
My favorite was the build to All Out that Punk got fired and Sky came out in like her light blue and red and white gear, and she had like the Chicago stars on the flag or on the back of the jacket and stuff like that. And everyone was like, oh, she's repping CM Punk. Blah, blah. I'm like, no.
It reminds me as well of when didn't CM Punk use the Terminator 2 theme tune once for a match?
Maybe.
No, he didn't. He used AFI, but Raj
Yeah.
Fury
I don't
didn't.
know. I don't pay that much attention to him.
But yeah, just what a fantastic what match came out even after what was that? Was it Athena and Mina?
The
Yeah, it was Athena
Fish?
and Mina Shirakawa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even that one,
Yeah,
that was a good little match. I mean, it was pretty short. I think it was only like 10 minutes, but
10 minutes, 46 seconds.
yeah. And but Athena now, I believe she's going all the way. We're going to all in, baby. All my favorites stay winning except for Darby, who lost. That was a bummer, but
We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry.
yeah. Spoilers.
Wasn't
Hey
a
man,
bummer.
don't forget about that wild card, that Ruby Soho. We got a Cinderella story to go along. Come on now.
Well, this is so I mean I don't think we're going to spend time on every match, but the Athena match was good. How long did it go? 11 minutes. Not bad.
Yeah, 10 minutes, 46 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean I thought it was good. I think she's going to have a good run this year. I don't think she's necessarily going to go to the finals, but I still think she's going to have a stronger showing than she's done in the past. So that's good. How did people feel about Moxley and O'Reilly?
I liked it. It was a really fun match.
I'm gonna be
Way
the one
different
that-
than everything else on the show.
I used that match, unfortunately, to go make food because I didn't have another
Happens.
match on the card to go do it.
It was long as well. Like I'm surprised at how long it went. It went almost 19 minutes.
Well, Kyle
Oh, usually
O'Reilly
not.
Kyle O'Reilly has an interesting history with Jon Moxley. Few wins here and there. Last week on Light the Fuse, I was really questioning why the hell are they having an eliminator match, and it didn't occur to me that Jon didn't actually have an announced match at the pay-per-view. Advocate, can you mute? Thank you. It didn't occur to me that Jon didn't have an advertised match. So, eliminator match makes sense. Story, lead in. They beat the shit out of each other for 20 minutes, 18-44. There was a point in the match where I said where I started thinking Kyle might actually do it and unseat the Continental title from Jon Moxley. But Jon pulled it back and is still the champion. The only reason why I would have wanted Kyle to win is so that Moxley could be like that last barrier for Ospreay for his world title shot for Wembley. Because I think Ospreay is going to win the Owen, right? And Ospreay could, much like Darby, put his title shot on the line against Jon Moxley. And that can still happen with the Continental title involved with Mox and all that. Now that I've done this, I can't do this until I beat you, right? I have the title shot, but I need to beat you. The person who broke my neck, right? That's kind of where I'm feeling where the Jon Moxley Ospreay story is going. Like the Owen is a foregone conclusion at this point. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I only see the Owen going one way with Ospreay, which, I don't think we need to talk too much about that match. But again, I thought it was a really good match between Ospreay and Joe. One that people had been wanting to see for a long time, and I feel it delivered. But yeah, I kind of see this tournament going only in one direction, and that's Ospreay. The question is now, who does he fight? Who's his opponent at All In going to be? We obviously have a champion, and if he wins the Owen, then he will get a title shot for the world title at All In. but is it going to be against MJF or is it going to be against Kenny Omega? Because for me, that's the match I'm itching to see more. And I thought it was very interesting. I didn't watch the media scrum, but I saw some highlights from it today. And, a question was asked about who were the biggest draws for AEW. And it was, I think, Tony said Moxley, MJF, and Kenny.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ospreay, and nothing against Mox, but I don't think Ospreay Mox is enough for me. It's going to be really excited. But obviously, I would love for their third match. And bearing in mind, like, match 1 was in Japan, match 2 was in Canada, match 3, Omega Ospreay would be in Will's hometown. So, sorry, home country, not hometown. I know where he's from. He's not that close. But yeah, so that, for me, that's what I'd like to see. But I feel that we are possibly going to get Ospreay, MJF.
Honestly, I agree with you, Hannibal. I would much rather see Kenny and Will than another Will and MJF match. And this is nothing against Will or MJF as wrestlers, because they're both very good wrestlers. I just don't like their matches together. I quite personally don't. You either have really good chemistry with someone or you have like negative. And to me, they just don't gel together. Their styles are too. And sometimes, wrestlers with different styles, like you can get good matches out of it. And I just didn't think that the two of them. And also, the last time they were at Wembley, they ran those two together, and I don't want to watch it again.
That's more for me. The reason I don't want to see it again is just because we saw them last time. And yeah, different title, different stakes, but yeah, I'd rather look. The other thing as well, and me and Ryan have gone back and forth about how we feel about this, but you've got Kenny Omega, who is 43, I think now.
I think he is, though. I should know this.
Yeah, I can't remember if he's 82 or 83.
He's 42. But, he'll be 43 this October.
Right, yeah. So he's not getting any younger, and he's got less miles on the clock left before he hangs up his boots. MJF is 30. He's got plenty of time. I want to see this match before we can't see this match. So that's what I want to do. But Tate, hang around, because I'm sure there's other matches that you want to talk about. Yes. But I've had from the producer that we've got somebody who is going to be getting on their soapbox. So I believe they are ready. Let us bring him. Oh, we did it at the same time. Jordan, how are we doing?
Yo. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yo.
How y'all doing today?
Doing great. Man.
I just wanted to get on my soapbox for a moment, and I thank you guys for allowing me to do so, because I'm pretty sure you guys have said this already, or kind of inferred this, but last night's Double or Nothing was a fantastic show, and anybody who is trying to find something wrong with AEW and Double or Nothing last night have been exposed. All of these grifters, all of these people are now grasping at straws, trying to find reasons why to bring AEW down. Last night, Double or Nothing gave you literally the Baskin Robbins of wrestling. You had a little bit of whimsy, you had a little bit of hardcore, you had some good women's wrestling, you had very great mat-driven stories, you had stories that were more important outside of the ring. You had The only thing we were really missing was like a big return. But truthfully, that card up and down had everything you could possibly want as a wrestling fan, as a fan of the business and the industry of wrestling. You got people now complaining for what? It's too long, or the Rizzler, advertisements. These people refusing to use critical thinking and just think anything beyond surface level. Last night, Double or Nothing gave you everything that you could possibly want out of a wrestling company, out of a 6-year-old wrestling company, mind you. And so anybody that you have seen or will see that is trying to find a reason to not like last night have been exposed. They have all been exposed to either just be a straight up AEW hater or trying to find a reason. Because and you look at their reasons, they're all held with zero weight. So thank you for allowing me to get on this soapbox because and thank you Tony Khan because last night the show that they put on exposed the grifters and the disingenuous takes of the IWC.
Well, I think just to your point, and I didn't mention this right at the top of the show, but when you had people like John Doe turn around and say, probably the best pay-per-view this year, right? The people that you would usually expect to have some kind of issue. And I haven't watched his review or anything like that. I'm sure there are things that he didn't like, whatever. And of course, you're not supposed to like everything, right? That's a reasonable thing to have. You're not supposed to say every single part of it was good. But the simple fact that somebody like that who usually would find the smallest thing to criticize AEW for and jump on it and use that as his measuring stick turned around and was like, you can't argue with how good that pay-per-view was. Yeah, I think anyone that's doing it now, or not even being fair to it, are bad faith.
No,
that was as near a perfect pay-per-view as you could put together.
And I love that you what you're saying because these people they're trying to find something, and we all know the bad faith accounts. Everybody can name 5 different ones on the top of their head, right? But a near perfect pay-per-view. Again, it had just about everything that you could want out of a pay-per-view, out of a wrestling experience. I can only imagine how fun it would have been to been in the building. And how that environment would have been, I can only imagine. But again, they gave you possibly everything that you could have wanted. And so when I say that to the grateful listeners, thank you for everybody tuning in. Ignore it, enjoy it. A lot of these people are just folks who don't want you to have fun. That's what it is at the end of the day. And that's what I mean by exposed. A lot of these people got exposed for, damn, that person is having fun and I'm not having fun. So how dare they have fun? A lot of these people are not able to see other people be happy, right? And that's what the exposure is. So be happy, enjoy it, replay it. I, for one, am super excited for this week's Dynamite. Probably more excited than I've been for a Dynamite in a long time, right? There's so much story, right? And for those who say AEW doesn't tell story, there's so much story going into this week's Dynamite. You got Cope and Christian. You've got what's Moxley's and Will Ospreay's next chapter. You've got Swerve coming off probably one of the greatest athletic performances that I've seen from both Swerve and Bandito. There's so much going into this Wednesday. Again, if you don't like AEW, that's fine. But if you didn't like it, you wouldn't talk about it. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't have paid your $50 to live tweet and hate watch it. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't be using it as your main source of income. Right? So a lot of these people just have gotten exposed. Shout out to Tony Khan. Shout out to Double or Nothing. It was a great show. Just point blank period. It was a great show. A lot of those people got exposed. Thank you for allowing me this soapbox.
Thank you for coming to your TED Talk.
9.72 is the cage match rating out of 246 valid votes. Valid votes. People who shit on cage match ratings are stupid because cage match themselves don't deal with the tribalist bullshit. There's literally a clause when you go to vote, go to comment, please leave the disrespectful shit at the door, basically, right? 9.72 out of 246 valid votes, 199, 10 out of 10. Like, this pay-per-view is one of the highest rated pay-per-views AEW has ever put on in terms of fanfare and fan reaction. And
it's their second highest rated event ever, only behind the Brody Lee tribute show.
Jesus.
So you remove the nostalgia, or not the nostalgia, but the importance of someone dying away from this. This is their most important show ever, right? And the feeling has been restored multiple times over by this point. If you hate on AEW, that's fine. You know, you're entitled to your opinion. I might think it's a wrong opinion. I might think it's a bad faith opinion, depending on what you're actually articulating in your argument. But AEW offers you everything. AEW has never... I don't think I've ever been disappointed in my purchase of an AEW pay-per-view. Right? And as I said earlier in the show, I felt like I had my money's worth. I had my money's worth out of the second match of the night.
You know, beyond money's worth, there's another commodity that we don't ever talk about that sometimes gets talked about, but no one really puts emphasis or value into it. And that's time. Yes, was this long? Does it go long? Absolutely. But my time was valued and considered. We were watching in the Cord, remember, Ryan? I don't have to wait 15 minutes in between matches. I don't have to wait for preamble or anything like that. My time was valued. Yes, I was there for 3.5, 4, whatever, but my time was valued. And I think that is one thing that people don't that people overlook, is that AEW as a company as a whole said, hey, look, if we're going to make you spend this money, if we're going to make you travel all the way to New York, I'm going to make sure that I give you every dollar, every minute's worth of entertainment. And they did that. And again, if you don't like this, you just don't like fun. Sorry to cut you, but just you had me going.
Well, the time thing is another thing. Okay, this ran from 8 p.m. to 12:30 or something like that, maybe closer to 1. So it ran under 5 hours. It was still pretty lengthy. It's a Memorial Day weekend, but for the people complaining how long this pay-per-view is, the remote's in your fucking hand. Go to bed.
Yeah, but hang on. It was 4 hours. It was 4 hours 10, right? Like the actual pay-per-view itself was 4 hours 10. If you watch the 0 hour as well, 5 hours 10, right? Granted, but 4 hours 10 for the main card, right? Not everyone watches the 0 hour, and that's fine. 4 hours 10. That's less than the Royal Rumble was this year. I think that's about as long as WrestleMania was this year.
Then you have infinitely more ring time.
Right. So again, this argument of the pay-per-views being too long, yeah, if the pay-per-view goes 5 hours, okay, you can have that. All in 2025. I'm trying to forget what year was it. Yeah, all in 2025. I can understand why it was too long. Jordan was there. He knows. It was a long show. But 4 hours and 10 minutes. I saw somebody could turn around and say, should have been 3.5 hours. You're moaning about 40 minutes, effectively another 2 matches. It was too long for you. It was still shorter than some WWE pay-per-views. So what are we really arguing about here?
Oh, they're just mad that their matches were interrupted with 45 advertisement segments.
Yeah. And I mentioned this at the time. There was 40 minutes from the end of the penultimate match, when the bell rang in the penultimate match of night one, and the start of the main event of night one. Like the bell ringing for the start of the match to headline night one of WrestleMania this year. 40 minutes. And look, it wasn't all adverts, granted, but it was like elaborate entrances, like very long entrances, very slow entrances, all adding up to it. I don't need that for my wrestling. I'm sorry.
If you get, from a AEW pay-per-view, you could sit here and look at the card itself and be like, where do I take my break from this? Because some people do have to get up and go use the restroom. Some people do have to get up and go find some food. If you're in the arena, this is definitely an issue if you're in the arena. And I will say, for the quality of wrestling you're getting, it's really hard to pick between the matches. And that point, like when you need to go, you go, right? So I don't even really see that as an argument anymore, right? You're still getting everything you pay for. That said, let's see here.
On a side note, Jordan, just because I saw it, I don't know if you've got to go yet or not, but I did see that they were selling last night at the show the Marina Shafir basketball jersey.
I saw that, and that's one more thing I want to say.
Tony Khan, put it on shop.
Yeah, put it on
fuck's
shop.
sake.
I think it's. I know it's being sold at events, but I need that jersey on AEW shop because it's one of the few rare hits from AEW's merch team. Because I've been a big. I've always said that their merch has been needing some work, but that problem jersey. Yeah. No wonder it's sold out. It's one of the greatest things they put out as far as a merch.
It sold out before the pre-show was over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So do you know what I mean? Like, it is clearly something that people want. So yeah, make some more of those, please. Pro wrestling teams, pull your finger out your ass. Get that on the shop.
Just to encapsulate some things, right? Like one of the other reasons why I really enjoyed last night, because when I say it gave you everything that you wanted, there's one thing that a lot of people were complaining about weeks ago that I've not seen anybody complain about now. That's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho came back and was slotted in right where he needs to be slotted in, and nobody seems to say anything. No one. It now seems like everybody's fine with Jericho. He's doing exactly what he needs to and supposed to do. That match, what is it? One of the weaker Stadium Stampedes? Sure, you could say that. Personally, not to me. I had a lot of fun watching it. I went back and watched it. I had a lot of fun. But I just want to point that out, that like a lot of the things that people complain about when it comes to AEW, if you just give it some time and let it simmer, it turns out to be pretty fine. I have not seen it. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen it, but I've seen nobody say anything about Chris Jericho and his place in AEW over these past few weeks.
I saw people complaining that he put himself through the table last night.
Wrestling fans.
I'm glad that you point that out. These again, and that just goes to show you the exposure that Dynamite put. These people will sit here. Are you? Oh, he exposed the business. He went through it. Oh, so paying tribute to Sabu, who it's barely been a year since his passing. Who everybody, when he did it, everybody in the building, including the announcers and everything, knew exactly what he was doing. You're going to complain about he exposed the business when there's a show on Netflix called WWE Unreal that is showing you the booking? You mean to tell me Chris Jericho exposed the business? Chris Jericho's the one that did it. Shut up. No, he didn't. You're just trying to find a reason to complain and be mad. Like I said, last night gave you everything that you could possibly have wanted. Has slotted people in the perfect position. Jericho didn't take up no time for nobody. He did he wasn't overexposed as far as in-ring stuff. It looked fine. There's no notes. No notes. I don't know what people could complain about last night for.
What was you going to say, Ryan?
I was going to say this on the Chris Jericho subject. Back whenever it was becoming apparent that he was going to be here, that he was going to return, I said it from jump. Hey, we ain't seen him in a year. When Chris Jericho is motivated, he's usually on the top of his game, right? He's a top wrestler. You know, when you think of all-time greats, Chris Jericho is going to be on that list. Okay. Let's just see how it goes, right? I think the responsible thing was to take the wait and see approach with Chris Jericho. And I asked Hannibal, you know, on Light the Fuse last week, maybe even Tism for that matter. You know, had Chris Jericho from bell to bell, has Chris Jericho disappointed you yet? And I believe the answer was no. And Chris Jericho, he's motivated right now. As long as you don't overexpose Chris Jericho, you can get a very good run out of it.
Yeah, I still feel he's being slightly featured more than I would like him to be, because there's not many people that are featured weekly. And maybe since his return, there's been 1 week maybe where he's not been featured. But
even then he was featured at the front of the show. He wasn't there live.
Yeah, well, no. So when I say featured, it doesn't have to be in ring. It can be in a backstage segment. I know there was the week where he pre-recorded a backstage segment because it was before Renee Paquette lost her voice, and they cut to her at ringside where she can't talk. But yeah, no, I mean that's the only thing I would say is, and I think I said this the other day. Like I do feel that he's still featured too often. In terms of the matches he's had, it's been pitched right at the way it should be, which is, you know, not dominating, but he's had good opponents that have worked well with him. So yeah, I can't really complain. And when this went down, I wasn't like position excited for it, but I did say, let's see what they do. Let's see how they position it, and they've done it well.
My last point, fellas, and appreciate you letting me take up some of your airwaves. But my last point, and I want to leave you guys on this one. Maybe you guys can discuss this too. Is the complaint about, everybody wants to talk about age. Everybody wants to complain about age. Let me go ahead and again get set back on the soapbox here. These people truly lack literacy. And when I say literacy, that means the ability to think critically, the ability to think further beyond what is initially shown to you, your ability to do research, your ability to use common sense. And I know common sense ain't so common, right? But to sit here and be like, and to throw that AEW has crowned a legendary tag team in Cope and Christian, have they crowned them to try to use that as look, you guys can't talk about age anymore, while conveniently admitting the show being closed by 2 guys under 35. Conveniently forgetting the fact that the show was closed by, 3 guys. 3 guys, because we're going to throw Kevin Knight in there too. 3 guys closed by 3 gentlemen under 30 years old. But we're going to talk about, you guys want the hill to die on, that they crowned Cope and Christian. And here's where the fallacy begins, fellas. Because if you would have signed Cope and Christian, have them on your roster, and you don't eventually crown them tag champions, then Tony Khan would be damned if he does. Or didn't. But now he's damned because he did, right? Because that's the thing about it. You have this legendary team, this legendary stature. Because remember the argument, guys. that when Motor Machine Guns went into WWE, and I understand, I know you're comparing two different companies, but when they came in, everybody was like, well, no, you have to crown them. Of course, they're a legendary tag team, right? Right? That's what you have to do. So why wouldn't they, Cope and Christian, be crowned? And let's also not act like they haven't been in the company for a while. Let's not act like Cope didn't go on a whole singles run, that Christian didn't go on a whole singles run. It took them a while. It was a whole storyline, which, by the way, people say AEW lacks story, right? It was the whole storyline of Cope and Christian coming together, finally overcoming and winning. They didn't even get to win at their first shot. They faced FTR multiple times. They didn't win at their first shot. So this argument that, oh my God, look, they crowned 50-year-old Cope and Christian, shut the fuck up. Because
But
you are
also,
completely...
Do you remember what happened when the Hardy Boys came and went?
Oh my God!
People
yeah.
turned around and said, "Can't believe Tony Khan didn't give him a run with the belts."
Can't believe they can give him a run with the belts. Can't believe they can give him a run with the belts. But you know why they didn't? Because if they did, you'd be complaining about it, right? They would have found a way to complain about it. Again, these people want to complain about age while conveniently forgetting.
Well, weren't they supposed to get a run with the belts?
Yeah, and then Jeff does what, unfortunately, Jeff.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
Jeffy is what Jeffy does.
But again, they used age in great spots. Again, Kenny is a little up there, right? The Hurt Syndicate a little up there, Jericho a little up there. Okay, let's put them all in a match where they can also be protected physically, where they can also still shine, right? Again, the show was closed by three gentlemen under 35 years old, under 30 years old. So this whole age argument that they're trying to now put out is bullshit because, again, WrestleMania, their biggest show of the year, and again, I'm not trying to do this whole comparison thing because I know that's not fair, but I believe both Roman and CM Punk are over 30 years old. So let's not compare. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Again, when your show is being closed by three guys under 30 years old, when the AEW is clearly showing you what the future has the potential to look like, just stop with the age argument.
I think beyond that, regardless of the age, I think the bigger takeaway is if you look at all their pay-per-views this year, Double or Nothing, Dynasty, and Revolution, they were all closed by day one guys. MJF, Hangman, Kenny, and Darby. And I think that says a lot about where the company is. And I say that in a positive way, of course. That, guys who were looked at as maybe mid-carders or project pieces, with the exception of Kenny, of course, that are now able to close shows, 7 years in. I think that says a lot about the talent that they have, the ability that the talent have to develop, and, the future of the company, like you were saying, Jordan.
Like I said, there's an argument that all of these anti-arguments are moot points. They mean absolutely nothing. So I say all of that as I finally step off this soapbox. Enjoy what you enjoy. Love what you love. Tony Khan and the AEW roster gave us a hell of a show last night. They gave us a lot to look forward to. They gave us a lot to look back on. I love going back and rewatching things. That's one of those cards that you're going to be able to throw on in the background while you're cleaning up. That last night was one of them shows where people are going to, how when they do montages of the company, there's going to be spots from last night's card that's going to be in the montage of what AEW is. That's how great last night was. And y'all can call me a defender, whatever you want. No, I'm a person who enjoys what I enjoy. And last night I really enjoyed it. So last night exposed a lot of the people, and I know we're saying this, but and it's said to not be said. It's a golden rule, but ignore a lot of the naysayers, ignore a lot of these grifters. because they've got nothing to grift on. They're grasping at straws now. Shout out to AEW. Shout out to Tony Khan. Last night was great. Shout out to you, gentlemen, for taking the task upon yourselves to talk about this. It's a lot to talk about, fresh off the rip. So shout out to Wrestling with Tism. I love you, boys. Y'all have a great rest of your show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, and I think, Ryan, that like leads us into man, Swerve and Bandito. You want to talk about, Jordan just mentioned the fact that there'll be highlights from the show for years to come in video packages. I don't think I've seen a greater finishing move reversal than I did last night when Bandito went for the 21 plates, the bad version of the 21 plates, because I'm not a massive fan of the 21 plates, not the original way of doing it. But when he went for that move and he got turned into a vertebraker, it's just one of those things that, when you watch wrestling sometimes and you like to think about how you can create new moves, that's never one that I thought you would see. And yeah, of course it is. Look at the movement of that move. Of course you could turn it into that. But the fact it's never been done before.
Move sequencing.
Yeah.
That's almost as difficult as coming up with the new move itself, right?
Yeah.
The transition between two movements. I can't say I've seen that before this match. And quite frankly, Swerve, he's just on another level, in terms of what his character is. And before he turned heel, right, proper, he had a little conversation with Kevin Knight, and he kind of stared at Speedball as well. So he was definitely talking to Kevin Knight. Could have also been talking to Speedball and Mike Bailey, right? But if you want to walk with killers, you have to become a killer, right? There are so many layers of character development that we see on Swerve Strickland today, from when he was a member of Hit Row back in the day. This is someone who used to be in WWE, who is now in AEW, and has completely evolved. They're almost completely different people, right? You didn't know that they're played by the same guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what character development is. That's what just work on your craft will do, right? Cage Match gave it a rating of 8.65. I think it's a pretty fair rating, to be fair. We were gauging something on a scale of 10 stars. I look at wrestling matches pertaining to how did it make me feel, and made me feel pretty good. I think the final for the Owen Hart Cup tournament is telegraphed very, very much so. Swerve has gone through Bandito. Swerve will go through Brody King in the next round. That match hasn't happened yet. Brody's first round match has not happened yet, but I feel like that is a good story that they can tell there, right? I don't see Brody King beating this Swerve. However, maybe he could. Swerve and Brody have a little history already. That's that storied history of what AEW does. They plant seeds, and they plant a lot of seeds, and you don't know which seed is going to sprout first, right? So Owen Hart men, as far as the men's tournament is concerned, it seems pretty telegraphed, but there's still room for some surprises, right?
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at with it. I love this match, and I cannot wait to go back and watch it again. I should have watched this match or this card the second time before doing Tism today. Did not.
No, it's too short. I mean, the thing is, I watched half the show. I watched the first 2 hours last night or this morning before I went to bed. Woke up relatively early this morning. Watched what I hadn't seen. I was messaging you, and I was said like, just watched the main. I was watching it all out of order because the thing is, I didn't know how the main event was. How it ended. So I wanted to try and find that out before I got spoiled. Like the other matches, I could, it didn't matter if I knew the results, but I wanted to, remain spoiler free.
Remain spoiler free for them. Yeah.
So that's what I did. I went and watched that first, and then went back to the matches that I'd missed out on. I mean, very enjoyable. I agree with what you said there about the Owen. I don't think we're too surprised Tekla retained her title, but again, it was a good match. You were?
I'm not surprised. I had in our little predictions thing we got going on, right?
Yeah.
I took a little gamble. I'm looking at there's clearly some star power missing, and truth be told, I don't know who the wild card is. But
No.
I imagine that if this wild card was supposed to be someone substantial, they would have just been in the tournament to begin with, right? So I can't imagine the wild card really changing the trajectory of this tournament, right? So I was sitting here speculating to myself, what would be a good gimmick to sell the women's world title for Wembley, right? And while Tekla is a phenomenal champion, a very talented person in her own right, man, I wouldn't be opposed. I would not have been opposed to seeing Jamie Hayter walk in with the title and defending it against Alex Windsor. I feel like, tag team, friends, you're the champion. I want to be champion. Very easy sell. 2 hometown birds, brawling it out for the title. However, that just wasn't the case.
All right, I just need to highlight this. No. Carry on.
If she comes back, she comes back. If she doesn't, she doesn't. The women's division has evolved past her skill set. Maybe not on the stick, right?
No.
But from the in-ring bell to bell, the thing that a lot of AEW fans really value, no matter how you break it down, because they're AEW fans hate WWE style wrestling, and certain AEW fans, certain subsects of sickos hate.
Yeah.
Fed-based matches, Stadium Stampede, and anything involving Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, right? They hate that. And kind of a little Death Rider action too. But it is what it is. But the division has evolved past the skill set of Dr. Britt Baker. However, she's feeling motivated and wants to come back. I wouldn't hate it. I'll say that. Because there's some things you can't teach, and that's the charisma on the mic.
That and
you either have it.
7 foot tall.
Goddamn it. Stadium Stampede. This match. Stadium Stampede, bro.
Hang on. Just one thing. So on the Britt Baker thing, for all we know, yes, Grumpy. For all we know, Britt Baker could have spent the last 18 months, becoming the greatest rounded wrestler in the world, and she could come back into AEW and absolutely prove us all wrong. And if that's the case, I've got a bridge to sell you, because I don't think that's going to be the case at all. But Yeah, I mean, let's see. But Stadium Stampede, yes, this is it the third Stadium Stampede? There was the first one at Double or Nothing 2020,
The
and
fourth.
then All In the
There were
fourth.
the
What
two.
was?
There was the one in the pandemic, the
Yep.
one from Double or Nothing 21 when they were just coming out. That
Right.
was, and then it's All In.
All In
in the
23. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank
This
you.
went from being one of the worst Stadium Stampedes I've ever watched, right? / Anarchy in the Arenas. They're the same thing. Are you in an arena? No, they are the same thing from a fundamental level. The only difference is one is in an arena and the other is in a stadium. Okay?
Sure.
And even then, not all stadiums are created equal.
Correct.
Okay? So when you look at a Stadium Stampede and Wembley Stadium, right? That is very much undisputedly a stadium. Okay? Something that seats 14, 15,000 people. I'm sorry. That's you're on arena Anarchy in the Arena numbers here.
Look, come on. A stadium and an arena are two different. An arena's indoor. You don't get an outdoor arena, right? I think that's the distinction, really. Not capacity. It's what the building actually is. And I know it had a roof, and I know the roof was closed. So, whatever, but it was still a stadium, whether you like it or not. The other thing that I thought was quite funny is one of the highlights of the Stadium Stampede match for a lot of people was when Jungle Jack Perry didn't get arrested, but could have got arrested for vehicular homicide.
Attempted vehicular homicide.
Yeah. And the thing is, you could not do that at Wembley, because at Wembley Stadium, if you leave the stadium, there's no re-entry. So I just want to point that out there. You couldn't do that at Wembley. But a fun match with some really fun spots, some nice cameos. Satnam Singh's tennis racket. Who saw that coming? But we did. The return of Luther after not seeing him for months.
We had the cameo Tommy Invincible.
Yeah, but let's not worry about that too much. Screw that guy.
Hey, we have to pay. No, we should pay respects where it's
Tommy, me, and Andrew Tate have similar allegations. Invincible.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why, Ryan. Right there is exactly the reason why. The reason.
Yeah, I was just trying to be nice. I was just trying to be nice.
Fair, but no, fuck him.
But there was a lot of things missing in this match. Okay, versus Anarchy in the Arena and Stadium Stampede before it. I like live music playing during this match. It's a great distraction piece. You normally in one of these matches you'd have various musical bits going on in the background for noise, because the match is spread all over the place anyways, so you just need to keep the crowd entertained, as best as you can. This match, I really don't like the placement of this, because honestly, this match really should be somewhere in the middle of the night and never be used as a match to buffer between the rest of the show and the main event, because there's so many other matches throughout the night where, man, I really want to see that match. Man, I really need. I have to go to the restroom, but I don't want to get up and leave this match. Yeah, you can't. If you're in the arena, you can't watch Stadium Stampede as well as you could if you are at home on television, where you're being shown what to watch and otherwise. And even then, even if you are sitting at home, this is a great restroom break. This is a great opportunity to go grab some food or re-up on your drinks or anything else. This just is what it is. I just don't like where Stadium Stampede is randomly placed. Not randomly placed. It's strategically placed, always right before the main event. Don't like that. This could have been, realistically speaking, after the John Moxley Kyle O'Reilly match. I feel like you would have got the same thing. But the fun and the whimsy. I was in the Discord complaining about where's the fun and whimsy for Stadium Stampede, because there's always some crazy, stupid shit that you see here, and then we get to the food fight. Okay, we see Tommy Invincible, we see Satnam Singh. Satnam Singh does not look very happy. I think there might have even been a Wardlow appearance somewhere in the background. You know, if you look and squint your eyes hard enough, you'll find him. But
where's Wardlow? Brilliant. New series of books.
Where's Wardlow? In the trainer's room. But the food fight begins, and it just falls apart from there. And the fun and whimsy and everything I was asking for was here. So this went from being the worst Stadium Stampede I'd ever seen to probably third, fourth. There's only 4 of them. So it went from being the worst one to maybe the third on the list. But this is what it is. You got to rank them somewhere. And I'm not going to rank them here. You know, that's for light diffuse. But the tennis, they started chucking tennis balls at Ricochet.
Well, I think they were firing them. I don't think they were firing them. I think they were being shot from a cannon.
Well, I thought they were at a cannon, and I don't know if they got it going or not, because I swear I saw one of the referees chucking balls from behind the cannon.
Okay.
All right. So go back and watch. Maybe I got to go back and watch. My favorite spot in this entire event, Bishop Khan, I think it was, fighting with Bobby backstage. And, Bobby's on the ground. Bishop Khan is about to do a finishing job or finishing blow on Bobby. And the camera pans over, and it's Lio Rush. Now, if you're not up on the lore, Lio Rush used to be Bobby Lashley's hype man. And Lio Rush says, it's fine, he's fine, you know? And just starts going after Bishop Khan. And he distracts Khan long enough for Bobby to take control and hit him. And then he climbs up on his back. And, like, man, Lio Rush, man, someone who went from being memed to death into retirement multiple times to having an actual character and being very entertaining. Man, I apologize for all the slander I've ever given you. Very entertaining, dude.
Cool. I don't, but that's fine. I'm not enjoying it. Not that I'm not enjoying it, but you know, I still think jury's out just slightly.
Well, maybe but some of the slander was worthwhile, but not
Dev's
the point.
Coming for your spot just for that, Hannibal.
He was coming for my spot this week anyway.
Listen, that's Dev's family friend, so don't you?
I know. Look, you know what? Lio Rush could turn into AEW's Danhausen, which is hilarious considering that AEW did actually have Danhausen. But
the difference between Lio Rush and Danhausen is when the bell rings, you can still get a good match out of it.
So, main event. Hand. Let's just like go straight into the main event because we are running a little long and there is something else we wanted to talk about. I mean, look, MJF, Darby Allin. I said it was going to go one of two ways, right? I said it was either going to be a very quick squash or it was going to go long and Darby would actually end up being MJF, which didn't happen, and it was fine. I think it's been a very interesting run with Darby. I think initially a lot of people were apprehensive, including myself. Some people still were, but a lot of people changed their opinion. And again, I don't want to harp on too much about what Jordan was going on about earlier with bad faith grifters, but I think there has been a subset of people who have tried to find reasons to hate on this run that he had. very short run, one of the shortest, if not the shortest, reigns in AEW history. That wasn't because of an injury, right? We've had some where titles have had to be relinquished and whatnot because of injury, but in terms of actual winning, defending, and losing, probably the shortest reign. But he packed a lot. Was this his 9th defense? I think 8 was on Dynamite last week.
Yeah.
So this was his 9th defense in just over a month. Incredible run of matches. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think a lot of people changed their opinion after it kind of got towards the end. But I also think it was the right thing to do.
8th title defense. 8th title
8th.
defense. 9th
Okay.
title match since the last pay per
Yeah.
view.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I thought his run has been entertaining. This match had some insane spots in it. Darby climbing up onto the entrance stage, like the rigging, and coffin dropping MJF for a table. The dive that he did very early in the match, where he kind of like somersaulted forward and landed very awkwardly on the back of his neck. Obviously, the finish itself, it's very impressive. I thought it was a very entertaining match. I think it was the right decision, the right way of doing it. I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. What did you think, Ron?
So the title run itself, right? 8 successful title defenses. Lost the 9th. Pretty healthy story here. I was checked out around the Pac title defense. This is like, how much more can you get out of this? Because we already know the logical story beats. About once every 3 title defenses, something happened that progressed the actual story in ring, right? We had the Kevin Knight, which we'll come back to here in a bit, right? And Sammy Guevara, who he collapsed in the middle of the ring during the title defense. And subsequently, this MJF match here, where he once again collapsed in the ring, allowing MJF to regain advantage. And that's just the story of just how insane of a schedule Darby had been on, right? MJF's tombstone is Spike Pile Driver from the ropes. That scares me every time he does it, right? I hate that move. The fear that something could go wrong. These are trained professionals, but man, pile drivers aren't very protected in AEW. And to see it helped basically bring on the end of the match very quickly. Helped. The spot where he dies off the stage. This is the second horrendous spot. Well, realistically, there's been like 8 matches post the title win, right? And in all 8 matches, there's some crazy spot that Darby has done throughout them. It is a miracle Darby made it to this match, basically based on the punishment he put himself through. Darby's original, like when he won the title, right? Everybody comes out and everybody was celebrating him, and people compared it to when Mick Foley had won the WWF Championship back in the 90s. The one that was spoiled on WCW television. And people called it a false equivalence. People attacked that. This is one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history. How can you compare it to that? Only hear Mick Foley come out at the start of the night and basically say the same thing. You know. Also, I'm kind of glad that Mick Foley didn't get involved in this match.
My big fear, and I did say this in the called, if not publicly, was I think he's going to interfere in the match, and I thought he was going to cost Darby the match, but not. I didn't think he was going to turn heel. I thought he was just going to cost him the match by accident. But I'm glad that didn't happen, because I don't think it would add much to it unless there was a match involved, and I don't think there is going to be a match. I can see Foley maybe having a final match, because he never got a final match. But we have to really be smoke and mirrors.
There's a lot of smoke and mirrors for that. You know, they gave Sting a great last run, but there you can do a cinematic match. You can do a lot to protect Foley, and there's a lot that we can still get.
You could do a boiler room brawl.
Where it's just a lot of it's just a lot of cinematic bullshit, a lot of camera shaking, and a lot of just hiding shit. Smoke and mirrors. But at the end of the day, Kevin Knight turned heel. The biggest shock of the night. Second biggest shock of the night, because I don't think anyone expected either heel turn to happen, but they get two of them in the same night. I think that is what did it. Kevin Knight, as Darby's being wheeled out, just for whatever reason, gets back into the ring, rolls back in. They're dragging him to the ramp, and then he quickly ascends the ropes and does his frog splash.
As soon as I saw him look towards Darby, I was like,
I screamed, Kevin, no. I screamed, Kevin, no. Well, maybe not scream, but I very much said, Kevin, no. What are you doing? And
did you do it like Gal Gadot did to IL?
Slick might be able to say how I said it. I just can't articulate. But Kevin Knight turns heel, and now we have a big story for them. And Kevin Knight was the TNT champion, and now Kevin Knight just turned on Darby. And now, bear in mind, Darby holds the TNT title in extremely high regard. So that gives Darby something that separates Darby from MJF. So now MJF can go do something. We have a clean slate in terms of the world title picture. I have no idea what our world title picture is actually going to look like over the course of the next couple months before we get to Forbidden Door and All In. Right? But we have Will Ospreay in the Owen. We have maybe Jon Moxley as that last safeguard against Will Ospreay. AEW's on fire right now. Like summer AEW, we're here at this point. What more do you want?
I think the fact that Kevin Knight has not only had title opportunities this year, but also that he was the last person to take action at the end of the pay-per-view, I think that speaks volumes in how he is regarded by Tony Khan. I think he sees big things in Kevin Knight. And sure, proof is in the pudding, as they say. We will see what happens with him. But the fact that they have put so much stock and done so much with him, I think is incredibly impressive. So, I'm interested to see what they do with him. Let's see what they do. But I don't think they'd put somebody in the positions that they have if they didn't see a bright future, if they didn't see him as a main event player. So let's see what happens.
No.
But anyway, as we wrap up, I know there was something else you wanted to talk about, so I'll give you the floor and chip in when necessary.
There's this thing, right? Don't feed the trolls, okay? But if you're going to accuse people of faking their autism, probably should educate yourself on what autism is. It appears in many facets. It's a spectrum of things. Some people can speak very fluently. Some people can't speak at all. Some people can perform massive jobs. Some people can't. Again, big broad term, autism spectrum disorder. Okay, and many things fall under its umbrella. Sometimes you can also have multiple other things like ADHD as well. And a lot of people in this community they don't have a proper diagnosis because it's very difficult to get a proper diagnosis. But even self-diagnosis isn't faking autism, and you're not self-diagnosed. Correct, Hannibal?
Correct.
You went through a lot of work to get that diagnosis.
Yeah. My story is I was told at 21. Yeah, I was told. I was like 20, 21 doesn't matter. Let's say 21. When I was at university, I was somebody first approached me and said, "Are you getting help for this?" And I said no, and I spoke to somebody about it, and they were like, it doesn't matter. It's too late now for you to get any help. It was the last year of university, so whatever. And I didn't really think about it too much after that until I had my kids, and we started going through things with them. And then I went on holiday with somebody, and he said, "You're autistic, right?" And I was like, "Well, actually, no, but you're not the first person to say that." And then that started me on my own kind of journey. And even then, because of my age and stuff, the first time I tried to get a diagnosis, I was told you don't need to have one. You're not disabled enough to get any real support, because there's you guys have it in the States as well, but there's this culture of people claiming for disabilities that so they don't have to work or whatever. So I was told that I was too high function. I wouldn't get any financial help. And I was like, I don't need financial help. What I need is to understand myself and the way that I do things, because it was very clear that when we were doing stuff with going through things with my kids, that my wife is like, "Oh my God, this is you. All these weird quirks of yours, these now kind of make sense." So, it took me another few years, but yeah, eventually I got my diagnosis 3-ish years ago, 4 years ago. And yeah, when I got it, I had two different appointments, one for autism, one for ADHD. And again, not sure what the process is in the States. My process was I had to speak to 3 people, had to fill out a questionnaire. They would interview me, they would observe me, and then they would kind of like all get their notes together and decide if that qualified or not. And got my autism one first, and then the ADHD one about a month or so afterwards. So yeah, I have I've got my paperwork in, checking all that up. Yeah.
So the thing where I'm getting at is autism does not necessarily look like someone who bites their thumbs, has like a big ass collection of random shit in their background that is very much that attuned to a child's personality, right? It can appear in many forms, right?
I mean, I do have that. It's just not where I recalled this from.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also
and
have that background as well.
the thing is, right? Just because someone can talk functionally and sound intelligent-ish, right, doesn't mean that they are not suffering from autism spectrum disorder, not to mention ADHD, masking, a lot of things. So when you come at someone and say, "Hey, you're faking your autism all the time. Very slanderish. Very defamatory.
Yeah, the thing that and the weird thing is the person that was trying to troll me yesterday about it went for it. They had to, because they made this claim that I was self-diagnosed, and that doesn't count, which I'll come back to in a second. But when they went through, because I was like, okay, well, where's this tweet where I've said this? The tweet that they found where I said this was from a thread where I was going back and forth with, I think it was a doctor actually, about it, but was talking about why people don't get diagnosis and get and self-diagnose. But the tweet before that was me in a much smaller, much quicker way explaining my own situation and what I went through. The tweet that they used to say, well, this is where you said you self-diagnosed, it didn't mention once that I self-diagnosed. It was talking about why people self-diagnose. And it's quite simple. The reason why people do self-diagnose is, like you say, it's not that easy. Before I got my, what I call official diagnosis, because that was the one that was through on National Health Service, right? Because you can go private to get a diagnosis, but if you go private to get a diagnosis, if you're offered medication, you can only get it privately, which will end up costing you a lot more. So for you to be able to get a reduced rate on your medication, it needs to go via our National Health Service. So I'd gone private a few years before for an autism assessment, and it was when I had that she said, actually, I'm also going to observe you for ADHD. And I didn't know what ADHD was at that time, because again, when I was growing up, ADHD was being hyperactive. It wasn't what we actually understand ADHD to be.
ADD in general doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore. It just became ADHD.
Yes. Yeah, well, a bit like Asperger's doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So
But
how
it was at the time.
my mother probably started to assume I was autistic at about 13, right? So I went to go. We went through hell to basically try to confirm it, and at that point in time, they said no. He's not autistic at that point in time, right? So a few years later, 21, I go get evaluated again. Asperger's, right? Turns out autism, also extremely hard to diagnose, also diagnoses other things. Asperger's you can't get an Asperger's diagnosis anymore because it is just autism spectrum disorder now. So it's very hard to get a diagnosis, people. Please stop accusing people at face value of faking their fucking autism.
Yeah, and also, people do, and I've seen this happen before. People have gone privately to get a diagnosis and not got a diagnosis. And when you're going private, you will pay a few £1,000 in the UK at least. You pay a few £1,000 to get a private assessment, and didn't get one, and then approached another facility that did diagnosis to go back through, because obviously they were wrong the first time, only to get rejected a second time. So the thing is, whether you go private, whether you go for your National Health Service, if you've got one in your country, it doesn't matter. Just because you go and have one, just because you go and pay for one, doesn't mean you're going to get one. And that was the thing for me. Like when I had mine done, after I had my private one, and when I was waiting to have my one done with the NHS, I thought to myself, what if they were wrong? What if they were wrong, and because I'd gone private, they were more willing to give you a diagnosis. But actually, when you go, and it's stupid because all of these, it's not just a random person. Like the people that do these have to be accredited and have to, have got these qualifications and stuff like that. So it's stupid me for it to even think that way. But I thought, well, what if they were wrong? And of course, when you get confirmed the second time, you're like, okay, well, all right, good. Obviously it is what it is, and it's fine. And the thing is, yeah, you can then think about things differently. You can look at your own situation differently. We talked about this just a few weeks ago. But yeah, just because if somebody self-diagnoses, it's a tough one because people will look at things on TikTok, look at things on YouTube. We'll see videos of people talking about, autism or ADHD, and some people are just trying to get views and stuff like that. And so there is quite a lot of misinformation. And if you are looking at people that don't have qualifications that are telling you what symptoms are, and you then, think, well, that's you, but actually that's not really autism, that's something else, then yeah, there is that issue of maybe that being the case. But I think a lot of people, honestly, when they self-diagnose, they do so because they just can't get an official diagnosis. And I think it's wrong to write people off if they do just have a
This
self-diagnosis.
isn't like stolen valor or anything like that. And
okay, so again, right, if you are autistic or ADHD, or you've got a neurodiverse condition, you can't get a benefit for that by just walking into your doctors and saying, "Hey, I've got autism, I've got ADHD, whatever it is." Right? You can't, and they'll say, "Okay, well, where did you get, where did you find that out?" Well, watching TikTok. No, that's not how it works. You're not going to get help or support that way. If you go, and what I did, I had to go and fill out like a questionnaire and take it to the doctors, and you answer these questions, and if they feel that the way you've answered these questions is enough to then put you forward for a diagnosis, then that's what happens. So even if you're self-diagnosed, you're not going to get any benefits from that until you get a full diagnosis. Unfortunately, that is just what it is. So yeah, I don't understand why people have so many issues with people if they do just self-diagnose. But regardless, I don't know how many times I have to explain that I have an official diagnosis.
we got to
like
go
you
through.
do.
We have to go through this like once a quarter at this point.
Yeah, it feels like that. It does feel like that. And the thing is, like, do you know what? No, I was gonna say, you know what HIPAA is. Obviously, you know what HIPAA is, right? But the last time I went to Universal Studios, I was able to qualify for a disability pass, which is not a fast pass. Certainly not a Universal anyway. I don't know about other theme parks, but it did give me the ability to like leave a queue if I needed to, like just like calm myself down if I was like overwhelmed. If I was getting stressed out, I could leave and kind of come back without like losing my place, right? So it didn't give me like much of an advantage, but certainly helped, made my experience so much better. But for me to get that, you have to use, I can't remember what the app, I think it's BCAS or something, Abex, I can't remember. Anyway, it's a company, they use a third-party company to do this. And if you want to apply for a disability pass, you have to upload your documents to them so that they can say, yeah, this person qualifies or not. So again, you can't, I wouldn't have that if I didn't have something that said, yes, this is an official diagnosis. I don't know what else I have to do to explain myself, nor should I have to. But yeah, it's an annoying thing, but I don't really care. But more than anything else, I think what we're trying to do here is just say everyone's got a different way, everyone's got a different experience, and just because somebody doesn't look autistic enough, or doesn't act autistic enough, or doesn't talk autistic enough, or talks too much for somebody with autism, because that's obviously something else as well. It's just a very weird flex to try and use that as like a gotcha, and it's the usual very sad, pathetic individuals that do that. It's really lame, but I think more than anything else, and we talked. You mentioned the other week something when we all got a little bit emotional talking about this, about how you said it probably saved your life. Getting your diagnosis probably saved your life, and I was like, yeah, it probably did actually. And that's the thing. Like, can you imagine if you're somebody who has only like been self-diagnosed, and you've got somebody telling you you're lying, you're bullshitting, you're making this up for attention, or whatever, right? Depending on how that person is, that could be enough to like tip them over the edge, and then that would be on your hands, no one else's, because you push somebody because you like trolling or something. That's the thing. That's not going to bother me, thankfully. But that could be the difference for somebody else. So just be a bit more compassionate. Just like we offer any number of things. Talk about my looks. Talk about the content. I don't really care. But yeah, just show some compassion to people if they do have a disability. And again, I'll say this loud and clear. Having a disability of any kind doesn't give you a get out of jail free card. Right? We've seen people like use autism as an excuse for their abhorrent behavior, like Neil Gaiman recently, right? No, it doesn't give you a get out of jail free card. It might explain why you have not understood things, or how you behave about things, but it doesn't mean that you're exempt from consequence of that. You can't use that as an excuse. So no, if I'm a dick to you, it's because I'm a dick to you. That's it.
Yeah. Well, we've gone a little long, but sometimes we have to get certain messages across. If you enjoy Wrestle Collective and Wrestle Collective content, please like and subscribe. Fuck. And stay tuned for Wednesday. Tony Khan thinks he can shove us off of our Wednesday time slot for Like the Fuse. He has another thing coming. Like the Fuse will not be preempted because of the TikTok special live pre-show starting every Wednesday. So Wednesday, 5:30 EST, same time that you can find us on Monday here on YouTube. You can find us on X, at least for the foreseeable future. For Like the Fuse, where our community can come in and hang out and talk about the show and preview Dynamite. It's the most must-see Dynamite pre-show of all time. And I will put that against Tony Khan with your fucking pre-show, you son of a bitch. I'm joking. Please, Tony, please. Please. Anyways.
I will say we do have a half-hour head start because they're going live at 6. We go live at 5:30.
We'll start doing the pre-show at the front of the show at this point and give away everything. The same way that Eric Bischoff used to do WWE back in the 90s. All right. Anyways, you like Raw, you like talking WWE, we got you covered there on X as well.
On Foley. That'll put butts in seats.
That's it. Exactly.
You like talking WWE, you can catch us on X with Carlos and friends with the Raw review, and subsequently Dynamite on Wednesdays, 15 minutes after each show respectively goes off the air, because Raw is kind of in limbo. Sometimes it ends earlier, sometimes it ends later, and Dynamite typically ends at 10. Well, 10:15 sometimes, but not the point.
11:15 this week.
Either way, digress.
Yeah.
And Wrestle Collective Weekly, this week at 6 p.m. EST here on the YouTube. Please like, subscribe, shopwc.com, and enjoy our content. Last thing before we get off here, all of the plugs aside, if you're struggling with autism, and you have the ability to, or you suspect that you have autism, try to get that sorted as young as possible, right? It's easier when you're younger. If you have a kid and you suspect they might be autistic, start now. You will help them so much in life, because sometimes you don't know you have neurodivergent issues that only therapy can help you through, or some kind of medication for that matter. This is really important. Sometimes you don't get a diagnosis. Sometimes you don't understand who you are, and sometimes you end by self-deletion. And the struggle can come in a lot of ways. So please get some help. Seek therapy. Seek out a diagnosis if you suspect you have it, right? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to get medication for it, or the therapy for it, for that matter. So.
And look, I'm going to just speak for me, but you know what? If anyone, I can't help much with our American audience, but I will do. If you want to slide into my DMs, I think you can. If not, you can just message me, and I'll make sure that you can. Feel free to ask questions or anything like that about my experience. I'll help in any way that I can. I helped one of my friends a few years ago on his journey, and it was funny because he ended up the same way as I did. And it was quite funny because he said to me, like, I never would have investigated it if you hadn't. And sometimes that's all it needs. You need to speak to somebody that's experienced it or on that journey themselves. So if you feel that might help in any way, reach out. Be discreet. No drama. But I'm always happy to help in any way that I can.
Anyways, thank you for sticking around with us. Have a great rest of your evenings. Much love from the Wrestler Collective, from the Fish and Disconnection. Catch you next time.
Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, this is the Wrestle Collective.